welcome to the one and only Team 2.
G'day guys, how are we doing? Welcome to Talking Boxing. It is Monday, October the 6th, 2025. And judging by the amount of people got in the chat already, I think everyone's had a big weekend and plenty going on in the boxing world and the football, all that sort of stuff. Now, I didn't watch it before everyone starts coming at me. I didn't see the rugby league last night. I'm a closet Melbourne Storm supporter, or a casual supporter, I suppose. I didn't even watch the game. If I had won, I would have been on here saying, yeah, but I didn't watch it. So a bit of a shame for the boys. Second year in a row. Not good. So well done to the Broncos. Now, if you just, again, thanks to everyone that's already dialed into or tuned in tonight for the episode. If you're listening after the fact on Spotify, thanks very much for your support. And if you're watching live again, if you're not familiar with the way the show operates, it is all about the interaction between each other. And as it says there, talking boxing. So put your comment, remark, opinion, whatever it might be, in the chat. And let's have another big episode of Talking Boxing. Let's get started. And we will start with old mate Big J. What do you got here, Big J? Huni fighting Latelli again is a massive step back, and I believe proves he's not world level. His fundamentals are already established, no need for a tune-up. Yeah, it's not a bad point, Big J. Look, I think what we've just got to probably realise, though, is there might be some other circumstances behind the scene we might not know about. Maybe they've tried to get someone a little bit better for Justice Huni. If you didn't know, Justice beat Latelli a couple of years ago. Was it 2-3 years ago, whatever it was? It was a pretty hard-fought win, though, I will say. So it's not like he's going to go and blow the same guy out twice, in a row. But maybe they couldn't get the right opponent. Remember, only I suppose we are 8 weeks away, aren't we? So maybe they could have, but I do get what you're saying there, Big J, but look, maybe they just know what they're going to get with Latelli. Maybe they just know they're going to get a good hard 10 rounds. Maybe they know that Latelli, while he'll be, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right there, by the way, I'm going to call him Latelli. Perhaps they know that while he's going to be tough and game and, come to fight, he's not really going to be a real chance of beating Huni. So maybe that's what you've got to look at as well. The other thing, the big factor in this is, of course, is that Justice Huni is coming off a devastating knockout loss. So you can understand that they want maybe a safe option for Huni. It's just strictly a tune-up fight. I don't think it's got anything to do with it's proving he's not at world level. It's not like he lost a close decision to Wardley and they're going to throw him straight back in. He got knocked out pretty bad. So I reckon what they're trying to do is just say, hey, we know what we're going to get with Latelli. We need a safe option here. I don't think it says they don't have faith in him or he's not world level. I just think that they're playing it safe. I think that's what they're doing. As I said, they know what they're going to get with Latelli. And they know, as I said, he's going to get rounds, but he's no harm or no danger of winning. So I don't believe it's a massive step back. I just think it's a step sideways more than anything, Big J. I just think it's a sideways step. To get him back in, no doubt. Well, I have no doubt that they'll probably get him back in there pretty quickly at the start of 2026. So maybe it's just, let's just get you back in the ring, Justice. We know we should win this fight. Then we can step up from there. The big test, I think, Big J, will be the next fight. So I don't think we should take too much notice of this one. Strictly a get-back fight like Tim Tszyu did with Joey Spencer, like numerous other fighters have done as well. I think it's the next fight we need to look at to see whether your point is justified there. If they fight a similar guy to Latelli next fight, I think you would say, yeah, okay, he's either taking a step back or he's stagnant or whatever it might be, and maybe they haven't got the faith in him at world level. But I don't think judging Justice and his team on this fight is probably fair. I just think he needs to get a win. He needs to get back in the ring. Who knows what's going around in his head? So I haven't got a problem with the fight, Big J, but I can understand your point. But I just think we should keep an eye on the next fight after this, not this one. Just my opinion. All right, still with Big J. Which promoter do you think has done the most for Aussie boxing in the last decade? I'm going with Bob Arum from Top Rank. Brought Pacquiao, Haney, and Loma all to Australia. Fantastic effort. Yeah, he did, BJ. Yeah, if you're looking at what promoter's done the most for Aussie boxing, yeah, by association a little bit though, Big J. And I know a lot of these fights might not have happened without Bob Arum on board. But you got to remember he did. Well, what was it? New Zealand was his first foray down under, and it was with Duco, and he had Joseph Parker and Andy Ruiz. What was that? 2017, I think it was, or 15 was it? Might have been 15. I can't remember anyway. I think it was 17. But I mean, what'd you say there? Yeah, Pacquiao in conjunction with Duco again. Haney in conjunction with who was the promoter? Was it? It was Lou DeBella, I suppose, was it? Yeah, I'm not quite sure with that one. And Loma in conjunction with a few other promoters as well. So I get what you're saying again, Big J. I know I've said that a couple of times, but I'm not sure he's been the best Aussie or promoter for Aussie boxing. I think, again, because he's done it in conjunction. It's a tough one. If we're looking at Australian promoters, who's done the most for Aussie boxing, I think it's Lion Ball. I mean, you look at the obvious choice is probably No Limit, in the last few years. But I think they started out really, really fast, did No Limit, and they had some really quality shows. But I think the quality of the shows has dropped off drastically in the last probably 2 years. I would think if I'm going to go out on a limb, I know might be a little bit biased, but I'm going to go with Dean Lonergan. He was part of, with Duco back in the day, 2017. To bring Pacquiao to Australia, I know it was in conjunction with Bob. I get it. It might not have happened without Bob Arum. I get it. But Dean Lonergan went to the Queensland government. I think he got at least $10 to $12 million out of the Queensland government when that was just absolutely almost impossible back in the day. And for a boxing event. This didn't happen for boxing events. I know it's probably changed a little bit these days, but back in 2017, to think you'd get $10 to $12 million out of the Queensland government for a fight, not going to happen. So I think the fact that, and I've seen him first or up close and personal, Dean Lonergan, he's a master at negotiation and pushing his point or agenda, whatever it might be. So I think the fact he got that fight done, I know it was in conjunction with, what's his name? The other guy from Duco, Kiwi guy, whatever his name is. But to get that fight done and what that then in turn did for Aussie boxing going forward, not just on that day. Now, yes, there was 51,000 in attendance. The pay-per-views were through the roof. The tourism to Australia was through the roof. It was an unbelievable event, a massive success. But I think it was more the roll-on effect after that. This is why I'm picking Dean Lonergan, because I think after that, I think the whole mindset of Australian boxing changed. And I think all of a sudden the George Kambosos is coming through, and the Liam Paro's coming through. All these guys, the Jai Patai's coming through as well, all just had this push behind them. The belief that they could do it. Suddenly there's lots of people wanting to deal with Aussie boxers and managers and promoters. It was just all happening. That fight there opened so many doors to so many people, and that's why I'm going to say, just on that one fight alone, Big J, that Dean did the most for Aussie boxing. And on top of that, promoted Tim Zhu and Jeff Horn. I know it was a co-promotion with No Limit, but I know for a fact that it was Dean Lonergan and Duco who did 95% of the work on that show. Also, the Jeff Horn Michael Zarafa fight. He's done a lot for Aussie boxing. Would have been behind Jai Patai, but we had the fallout with Tasman, and that's a different story. So, yes, if I'm going to pick one, I would say Dean Lonergan, Big J for me. I get what you're saying with Bob Arum there, but I'm probably going to go with an Aussie promoter. And again, I know that actually Dean Lonergan's a Kiwi, but he was based here, lived here, all that sort of stuff. But No Limit a close second. But I just think they've dropped off in the last couple of years and haven't invested in their events as much as they did when they first started. So, again, just my opinion. What's this here? Did you check out my rant of the storm? Pretty funny stuff. No, I didn't, Big J, but I'm glad you found it funny, mate. So good on you. I didn't check it out. No, I didn't. All right, let's change subject here. What's this? Ryan, what do you got there, mate? I listened in from WA. This whole daylight saving thing isn't practical for me. Is daylight saving? It must be daylight saving over there, is it? I'm normally on the barbecue cooking a steak, tuning in. Can we move the time for me, mate? Well, what time is it over there? So is it 2 hours or 3 hours? Let's have a quick look. I think it's 3 hours, is it? Hang on. Perth. Where I will say put in Perth. All right. So it is currently 4:10. All right. So 3 hours. Well, there you go, Ryan. You're going to listen to this or watch this. Then you can go cook your barbecue. So it'll be perfect timing. We'll be over by 6 o'clock your time and just in time to put the steaks on the barbie, mate. So but thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. You're probably not even home from work, are you, at 10 past 4? All right. Where's the Tasman? About the Tasman fighter card there, Big J. Tasman fighter card on December 6th looking quite good. Let's hope it delivers. Yes, let's see if they've actually updated the box rec on this event. I have seen a few of the fights getting announced. All right. Okay, so December the 6th. All right, now we're cooking. All right, so we've got Justice Honey, Kiki Toa Lutelli. We've got Jack Gregory, Hayden Emerson, and we've got Max McIntyre and Jed Morris. Now, I don't know much about Jed Morris. He's 8-2. What's he done lately? Well, his last fight was a 8-round loss to Luke Scullion, who was 2-1. So I'm thinking that just call it a hunch there, Big J. I think Max McIntyre gets the job done in that fight. Yeah, all right. But either way, Big J, we'll all be tuning in. It'll be a great fight. I think it's on DAZN. I'm not sure. I think they're pay-per-views, aren't they, on DAZN? But, yeah, it should be a very, very good card, mate. All right. Still with Ryan. Hey, Lynden, how soon do you think we could see a change in Tim Tszyu in regards to his fighting style, if any, after bringing in a new trainer? Good question, Ryan. Well, you would hope it'd be straight away. I'm hoping and probably thinking that if he does choose the right trainer, and I know Mike sort of touched on it a little bit last week, but I would think that the new trainer would say, well, we need to take at least sort of 3 to 4 months of working together before we think about a fight. So it could be, sort of February, March next year that Tim will fight. And you would hope that, well, not hope, I would expect that a new trainer wouldn't be trying to reinvent the wheel. I think they would be looking at Tim and saying, okay, I think I said this in one of my videos the other day, the fundamentals are okay. He's a very, very good fighter. He's just got a few things that need to be worked on. So it might just be a matter of leaving what he does best alone. You know, he's a good counter puncher. He puts together good combinations, well balanced. I've got some doubts as far as things like his footwork goes, his defense, how that goes. So they're the things that the new trainer might work on. And look, I suppose it all comes down to how soon and how quickly Tim can actually make the adjustments. I mean, the trainer might identify things they need to work on. He might have some suggestions about what to do. Tim might go bang and pick it up straight away and be able to adjust, or it might take him a little bit of time. So I don't think we can put an exact timeline on it, Ryan, but I've got a feeling that Tim will be a very, very fast learner. The issue will be, like it is with everyone, is when the shit hits the fan. What happens then? So Tim, let's say, for instance, Tim might come out in his next fight, or he's doing it during training. Balance looks fantastic. The footwork looks great. Defense looks a lot better. Everything looks so much better. And we're thinking, all right, we've done it. Then in the first fight back, he gets hurt in the second round. He gets wobbled. He's under pressure. What happens then? Or it gets in the 8th, 9th, 10th rounds and he's exhausted. What happens then? Can he hold his shape and stick to the plan? Or does it all go out the window? And like what happens in a lot of these situations, they reset and they go back to what they know best, which is the way he fought against Fundora the second time. And all of a sudden, we're back where we started. So that's the big test, Ryan. I've got no doubt he can work on the issues and get them right. But as I said, the big test is when the shit hits a fan in a fight. Maybe things don't go the way they're supposed to, or something comes out of nowhere. He might get a headbutt again, gets a cut on his head. You just don't know what happens then. So, but judging by the trainers they've got in mind, and who were they? Pedro Diaz, Kevin Cunningham, Rudy Hernandez, Ismael Salas, and Abel Sanchez. They're the 5. The one I'll say, I think I mentioned this on D-Style's show this morning. One trainer that I think should be put in the mix, and I haven't even heard mentioned, is Manny Robles. Is it Robles or Robles or whatever? I think I'm going to call him Manny Robles. He's one. I was looking at him the other day, and we're talking about this morning with D Style that he's going to take Andy Ruiz back on. I think that he could be a really good trainer for Tim, and the reason I say that is not just from afar. I met him 7 or 8 years ago, and we're over in Oxnard, California. Not Oxnard, Newark, California. And we went to his gym, and he's such a lovely guy to speak to. But you can see the respect the fighters have for him. You can see the success that he's had with his fighters. When we were there, who was there? There was who was the Oscar Valdez was there. Michael Conlon was there. Apparently, Ruiz might have been training around that time. I can't remember, but he just looked like he had a very, very good rapport with his fighters. Very close-knit team as well. So he's the one that I think could be put out there as well. But anyway, he will make his decision soon, and we will see. All right, Drew, this Zuffa Boxing League only stands to divide the sport more than unite it, particularly in light of Dana operating independently of the sanctioning bodies. Yeah, well, so if you don't know, and I'm sure everyone does, you'd have to be living under a rock not to know that this Zuffa Boxing, and I hope they change the name, this Zuffa Boxing is not going to recognise the other sanctioning bodies. It will only recognise its own belt and the Ring Magazine belt. So I think you're 100% right there, Drew. I can't see how it betters the sport. I really don't. Maybe in theory it does by having this boxing league they're talking about, and it's all in-house, and Dana saying, well, you're fighting him and you're fighting him, and that's the way it's going to be, and that might work. But the fighters on the roster might just be B and C grade fighters. He doesn't have any of the A grade fighters because the A grade fighters aren't going to be told what to do. They run their own race at the moment. Do you really think a Canelo Alvarez, just as an example, is probably on the downward side, a Junto Nakatani, or a Naoya Inoue? Not that would happen because, of course, they've got very good promoters behind. But let's just say it's Naoya Inoue decides to sign up with the Zuffa Boxing. Do you really think he's going to let Dana decide who he's going to fight? And if he doesn't, he's going to get penalised or his purse cut or whatever? Not that I think that Zuffa, if it's anything like the UFC, are going to be able to pay the stars enough to get them over. But that's the real reason I don't see it working, because I just don't think they can get the A-level fighters into an organisation and play ball like the UFC fighters do. The UFC fighters don't really have a choice because the UFC is it. It's like the WWE or whatever. That is it. All the fighters in, they are the most dominant by far organisation in combat sports, mixed martial arts sports I'm talking about. And it's because it started from the ground up. They're able to pretty much do what they want because they've established it, and all the fighters have come after that. Boxing is a whole different ballgame. It's working the opposite. This is an established sport. Yes, it's got a lot of flaws, but it's an established sport. It's set in its ways. It's got other major players in there at the moment who aren't going to take kindly to what he's trying to do. You got the A-level fighters are all signed up to the best promoters in the world at the moment. So as good as Dana White has been with the UFC, what just makes him think he's going to walk into boxing and just sign up the Naoya Inoues and the Canelo Alvarezes and the Terence Crawfords and the I'm just sort of picking the Boots Ennises of the world, who are all obviously signed at the moment. What makes him think he's just going to walk in and take those fighters off Eddie and Oscar's hands and Frank Warren and Bob Arum? It's just not going to happen. So if anything, Drew, I'm with you. It's going to divide the sport even more because those fighters at the moment at least have a chance of fighting all those other fighters. They go into the Zuffa Boxing League. There's no chance because the odds are he won't allow those fighters to fight fighters from other organisations. Well, he can't anyway because they can't challenge for belts because he doesn't recognise them. So I just don't see how it works. I really don't. Now I've got a lot of respect for Dana, what he's done with the UFC. He's obviously got Turki Al-Sheikh behind him, which is a massive thing. But I said on one of the shows the other day, doesn't matter how much money you've got, how much clout you think you have. If the fans and the fighters and everyone else isn't on board, it's just not going to work. Doesn't matter whether Turki Al-Sheikh's throwing all his money around. Just doesn't matter. I mean, if the fighters can't fight for those, and as much as the flaws as they have in those other sanctioning bodies, I just don't think it will work, especially with a name like Zuffa Boxing. And if it does work, it could take 50 years to slowly but surely bring the elite fighters over, weed out some of the sanctioning bodies. You really think the sanctioning bodies of the other mob are going to just turn up their toes? They make way too much money just to close shop. You really think the WBC and the Suleimans are going to say, we'll just roll over for Zuffa? No way in hell. the amount of money they make out of the sanctioning bodies is just ridiculous, and they love all their little conferences and the other things they all do and the little titles they have. There's no way they're going to give that up. So I don't see how it works. I really don't. I see maybe that their own little bubble, I suppose, might be a very well run little bubble, and the fighters in it are happy and they're all fighting each other, and that's great. But then out in the real world, the rest of the elite fighters in the world are actually out there just doing the things they do now. So I don't see why, I'm just sort of picking, why Boots Ennis, well, he's probably a bad example because he's talked about in the past, why he leaves an Eddie Hearn to go to Zuffa. Or, Naoya Inoue leaves Top Rank to go with Zuffa. Just doesn't make sense to me. But we will see. What else have we got? Sorry, I've been waffling on there about that one. I'll go through the comments. All right, Eminem, how are you there, mate? Tim Zhu has today left for the US in pursuit of his new trainer. Yes, I did see the photo on his Instagram today. So best of luck to Tim. Now, where are we? Did I see a super chat? There it is. Andy. G'day, mate. How are you doing? What do we got here? $10. Thank you very much. Subscribe, share, and smash that like button, please. Not boxing, but just got to say, okay, go the Broncos. Good stuff. Brisbane, AFL and NRL men and women 2025 champs. Yeah, it's a good point there, Andy. AFL and NRL. That's pretty crazy. So you've beaten the Victorians in both sports there, Andy. And I didn't know about the women, although the AFL one's still going, the AFLW is still going. But I did see the AFL. I didn't know about the NRL. Is it called NRLW? I'm assuming it is NRLW. So the Brisbane Broncos won that as well. Well, they're just killing it at the moment, Andy, and ruling the nation are the Queenslanders. All right. Naz, Tom's dad Naz, how are you there, mate? Great to see the Sandler Bruner card in Melbourne on November 7 is on DAZN. Yes. Maya, is it Maya or Maya? Solomon is a good chance against Jazzy Parr for mine. Well, let's have a quick look at that as well. I am looking forward to that card too, Naz, and isn't it funny that one of the best cards of the year, it's on DAZN, but it's free. There's no pay-per-view. There's no nothing. I think it's fantastic. I'm hoping it's not pay-per-view, but surely it couldn't be. Just on DAZN. All right, so yeah, it is Maya Solomon. All right, so the card, I think it's headlined by Camille Bella and Sergey Vorobev. Okay, main event. Stephanie Cutting against Mariah Turner should be a good fight. Monia Fathi, Andrew Hunt will be an excellent fight. That's for the IBF Australasian Super Welterweight title. Lilo Talape hasn't got an opponent yet. Connor Hall, Joshua Shannon, and Jonty Metaxas versus, is it Ong Sander? I don't know much about those guys. But yeah, solid card there. Naz, and very, very good for the sport that it's on DAZN. So fantastic. All right, Eminem. Love the move from Tasman, Timo Pataya and Turkey to make Jai versus Badu Jack early next year, making Jai versus Zerdo even more appealing and for undisputed. Yeah, it's a good call, Eminem. Look, it's an interesting one because obviously he's fighting December 6th. Now, they want him, I think it's the end of January, so it's a very, very quick turnaround for Jai. So I think we're all hoping that maybe he gets Shinkara out of there pretty early or has a pretty cruisy decision when if that's the case. There is a February Riyadh season card. I would be more inclined to see him on that, but Mick Francis did say it was going to be late January. And I would think that Jai Pataya and Tasman Fighters isn't really going to want to upset Riyadh season and Turkey Al Sheikh. So I'm thinking he'll have a quick turnaround. And and you're right there, Eminem, if he does win that fight, then it'll be Zerdo Ramirez later in the year. Although you would think that Zerdo Ramirez will want to tune up, so that's probably going to be sort of May or June, you would think. So it'll be probably the end of 2026. So as long as we get it, that's the main thing, and that means 2027. Jai can then go to heavyweight. That's still, as a 31-year-old, so still plenty of time for him. Shadow Boxer, to be fair, this is Huni. Yep, coming off a KO loss. Yep, that's how behind I am, is it? Drew, not sure the power of money and profile will be enough to see, enough for Dana and Turkey to just roll over and die, plus having to seemingly start by scooping up B or C level talent to get the ball rolling. Yeah, that's what I said, Drew. I just don't think having the clout and experience, and I suppose just the go that Dana White has, is going to be enough. Turkey Al-Rashid can throw as much money as he wants at it. And there's still got to be a sort of limit to what he's willing to spend. You got to remember, it's not his money. This is what everyone always forgets. It's not Turkey's money. So I'm sure he's got a budget as well. It doesn't seem like he's got a budget, but I'm sure he has. But I just look at the fighters that are with Oscar De La Hoya and Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren. Why are they going to jump ship with what they've got to go to this? And just the restraint of trade that it has on them. They just have their hands and feet shackled in their careers and being told what to do and this Ali Act sort of thing. Now, I'm assuming the Ali Act changes will only affect their fighters. I'm not sure, because I think they're not changing it, are they? They're actually adding to it. So those additions will most likely just benefit their fighters. I'm not sure how it will, but you can be guaranteed that the reason they're doing it is to safeguard themselves against the promotion managerial side of things, I think. But, yeah, I'm with you there, Drew. Eminem. Don't mind Hooney stepping back for a few tune-ups. He's still only 26, plenty of time. That's the thing, Eminem. I think as a fan, like Big J said before, yeah, we just want him to get straight back in there and away we go. But I think you've got to look at it realistically as a manager or a promoter, whatever it might be, and even Justice himself saying, like you said there, he's only 26. I say, well, why rush it against a top opponent? We just all this is a tune-up. All it is a comeback fight. So, as I said at the start, look at the next one after this. And if it's a Latelli type of opponent, well, maybe we could ask some questions. But I don't think you ask too many questions when someone's coming off a devastating knockout loss. You don't question the opponent, in my opinion, and looks like you agree, Eminem. Tune-up's probably wrong wording. Confidence builders, more experience, probably better suited wording. I just call it a comeback fight, Eminem. I don't think it's a tune-up. I think the days of tune-ups are pretty much gone, because back in the day when fighters used to fight 3, 4, 5 times a year, yes, you got to have world title fights and have a tune-up sort of in between. Fighters only fight once or twice a year now, so there's no really such thing as a tune-up. That's just a mandatory or a voluntary these days if you're a champion. And if you're a contender, well, you just keep treading water until you get your shot. So I'm with you. Yeah, tune-up's probably the wrong word. But yeah, confidence builder, comeback fight, whatever you might want to call it. It's just that. It's nothing more, nothing less. It's not like they're looking at Latelli as where Justice is at the moment. It's just saying, hey, we need to come back against somebody. It may as well be against someone that we know. Still with Eminem, I'm guessing Sam Goodman will be back on a No Limit card soon. No Limit posted about him today. Yeah, well, he's probably had that one post today. Eminem's probably more posts that he had in the lead up to his fight with Nick Ball, wasn't it? Yeah, I think they put it out there and just teased it that should he come back soon? I think the wording was. So, yeah, maybe. Be good to see him back. I think he's got a lot to offer. I think he proved that he's at the level. And now, I'm sure they'll get him another crack. So, you better just hang on to $50 or $60, guys, because they're going to have their hands out for a pay-per-view for Sam Goodman very, very soon, I would think. Look, maybe he'll be on the card in the next month. If it is the Zarafa and Nikita card or the Liam Paro card, maybe he'll be on that. So we'll see. Which is still 6 or 7 weeks away, so it probably makes sense, doesn't it? Drew, there is talk of Pacquiao fighting for Rolly's belt, and if victorious, a push for Mayweather versus Pacquiao 2. I personally have no stomach for the pensioner fight 11 years later by next year. Yeah, I'm with you there, Drew. I really don't want to see that. I have no interest in that fight whatsoever. This is the Mayweather-Pacquiao I'm talking about. But we all probably laugh about it and say we don't want it. But if it makes money, well, I'm sure they'll look at it. Mayweather's fighting exhibitions. Pacquiao's back amongst it. So why wouldn't there be a Mayweather-Pacquiao too? I did see, that Pacquiao might be fighting for Rolly's belt. It's going to be in January. It was going to be in December, but it looks like the Lamont Roach Isaac Cruz fight will take that spot on Amazon Prime, and it'll be Pacquiao Rolly in January. But Mayweather Pacquiao too. Does it have any appeal? Not for me. I couldn't care less. Could not care less. For what it's worth, I think Mayweather wins just as easy as he did the first time. I don't think the fact that he hasn't had a proper fight for 9 years by then, I don't think it matters, because he's had probably 6, 7, 8 exhibitions in that time, and he keeps himself in good nick. So I don't think it would matter. I'm sure the fans would eat it up. They put it on Netflix and probably get 50 million views, wouldn't they? So is that what they had last time? No. What did Paul and Tyson get? Was it 41 million, or was that the Crawford and Canelo fight? Whatever it would be. I'll probably underestimate it, to be honest. I'd probably get 100 million people watching if it's free on Netflix, wouldn't they? It's just crazy. But wouldn't surprise me, Drew. Would you like to see an exhibition match between Manny Pacquiao and Naoya in a way while Manny is still capable? Because people are always comparing them. Yeah, maybe. There is a massive weight differential, though, Monk. And I think at this stage, look, maybe. I mean, at this stage, Manny's probably looks like he'll have another year or two in the sport. Then they might look at it. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'd just be careful that Manny wouldn't get hurt, because even at that size could do some damage, and Manny doesn't. I know he looked good against Mario Barrios, but even at welterweight, he's no Naoya Inoue. So wouldn't be a bad one, Monk. Yeah, maybe an exhibition fight. You never know. And they do compare them, although Naoya Inoue is the much bigger puncher, isn't he? All right, Glenn. Evening all. Dinner with the wife. Catch you next week. All good, Glenn. All good, mate. All right, Frito. Bud. What's that? Bud versus Bivol at 175. 160 has weak name value. Bivol is a smaller light heavyweight and comes with real legacy value for Bud. Janabek, Carlos, Sadames, these guys are fairly unknown. Lara's 42. Bivol, let's go. Frito, I know it's good in theory, but how could you expect Terence Crawford to fight Dimitri Bivol? Look, and I see even David Benavidez' name being thrown around, and fans saying, oh, if he doesn't fight Benavidez, is a fraud and this sort of stuff. The guy has come up from 154 to 168 to win the belts, and now you want him to go to 175 and fight a monster in Bivol. It's one thing to fight Canelo, but to go up and fight Bivol or Benavidez, or worse yet, better be. If you imagine what he might do to Terence if he got hold of him. I'm not sure, as good as Terence is, I'm just not sure that he'd be able to keep better Beav or Benavidez off them for 12 rounds. So I just don't think he needs to do it, mate. I just think he went up to his probably maximum weight at 168, and he's made his point, and now I think he'll go back down to 160. I still think it's not a Bivol, but I still think Janabek would be a very, very good fight for him at 160. I think that would be still a very, very valuable fight. Apart from that, there's really not much there for him unless he goes to 160, wins a belt, and then maybe one of the 154 pounders goes up like a Virgil Ortiz or a Fundora or whoever it might be. So we will see. But I think it's a little bit unfair, Frito, to expect him to fight Dimitri Bivol at 175, mate. All right, Ryan, do you think over the heavyweight division's history it pays to be lighter or a smaller heavyweight? Ali, Tyson, Evander, Usyk, Jai in the future. Yeah, it's a good point, Ryan. I mean, Ali wasn't a small heavyweight back in the day. I know compared to today he would be. Well, just like Rocky Marciano and Izzard Charles and Jersey Joe Walcott and Joe Lewis. None of them were really big heavyweights, especially Marciano. I think it was, 187 or 188. Wouldn't even be a cruiserweight. Well, actually would be a cruiserweight, but a very small cruiserweight. I think it definitely helps to be a little bit more agile, Ryan. It has helped. Tyson got through at the start of his career with his speed. He wasn't a small heavyweight. I mean, small in height, but still a pretty solid guy, and weight-wise actually matched up pretty well with the best heavyweights of the era. Ali's, as I said, a different ball game. He was, his advantage was he was just as big as the guys he was fighting, but so much quicker and nimbler, and his hands and feet and everything like that. And Tyson got through with his speed of hand and power, of course. Evander got through, I think, more so because of his grit and hardness and determination, I think, Evander. I think anyone with any less heart than what he had wouldn't have lasted. And Usyk, definitely, for sure. And that's why I think Jai could be successful in the future too, mate. I think it does help. It's not the be-all and end-all, but it definitely helps, I think, to have a little bit more, whether it be size or be a bit smaller or lighter, whatever it might be. I just think it comes down to having just the natural assets. Like you look at Moses Otama. He's a big boy, big heavyweight, but look at the hand speed on him. Just so much faster than the rest of the heavyweights out there. So, and that's why I think he'll go a long way. Might be a little bit different if he was just the average type of heavyweight with his hand speed, but the fact that he's so much quicker than his opponents, he'll go a long way. So yeah, it does pay to some extent, Ryan, for sure. Adam, how are you there, mate? 100%. New trainer can only help so much. When he gets hit and or tired, it goes back to muscle memory. Yeah, it does. It does. Yep. Drew. Pitbull and Roach now appears to be happening in light of Tank Davis going to the circus in order to gain a payday. I have Roach by unanimous decision with a 116, 112 type of score. Your thoughts? Yeah, I think you've got to factor in the size, Drew. And I know that's a bit dangerous to say that in light of what Crawford did with Canelo, but Roach is not Terence Crawford. So he's a good fighter. Going up to 140, I think will test him. I think he'll definitely have some success against Pitbull in the first maybe 6 or 7 rounds, or probably what happens after that. But having said that, Pitbull did really struggle with, what was his name? The guy he lost to, French. Hang on, I've got to look him up now. Isaac Cruz. What was his bloody name? Is his record there? Pitbull, there it is. Valenzuela was the guy he lost to. Yeah. So he was able to do it. He was obviously a natural 140-pounder. But against him, Isaac Pitbull Cruz did struggle to really change things up and change the momentum of that fight. So if Roach gets a 5 or 6 round head start at the start of the fight, Drew, then you never know. But I do think it's a tough ask to keep Pitbull off him for 12 rounds. But yeah, I think I'm with you. I'm not sure. Could even be 115, 130 or something like that. But I think he can win because Cruz has shown that while he can be a real little terror in there, he has also shown that he's very limited on occasions as well. So definitely he's got the ability to do it. Can he keep him off at that weight, though? That's the big question. So, but I'm with you. I think he can do it for sure. Ado, Boots Lima this weekend. The odds are heavily in favour of Boots by KO. What are your thoughts? Lima is no mug. Yeah, Ado, he's no mug. But I'm not sure Boots actually knocks him out. I think Boots wins on points. A unanimous decision. Maybe 116, 112, even 117, 111, something like that. I think Boots wins pretty comfortably. Lima's tough, hard, all the usual descriptions, I suppose. But I mean, Boots Ennis is Boots Ennis. I think he wins pretty easily on points. He's a great talent, Boots. I am critical of the fight though. I don't think that Lima is the right opponent for him. I think if you're a world champion in one weight and you go to another division, you jump to another division, you should be looking to jump straight into another world title fight. Shouldn't be looking for these type of tune-ups. And you're right, Lima's no mug, but really, what's his sort of standing in the game? I mean, is he even rated, Lima? He'd have to be, wouldn't he? Yes, he is. Okay, so 9 with the IBF, 8 with the WBA, 10 with the WBC, and is he rated with the WBO? I don't think he is. No, not rated with the WBO, which is strange. So if he wins, I suppose he's going to be rated by all 3 organisations. But I just think as a fighter of his standing should be aiming a little bit higher. But we will see. But you're right, he's a good fighter, but I don't think he's a threat to Boots. All right, Eminem. Tank claims he's retiring after the Jake Paul circus fight. What a shame. So much talent, so many good fights could have been made. Classic case of wasted talent, Eminem. Apart from the Ryan Garcia win, hasn't really had a legacy type of win. And it's just a shame that he's just going to throw his career away. I mean, you're right. I mean, so many good fights that could have been made at 135 to 140. And I know it's about money. I've got a feeling he'll be back though, Eminem, even though he's going to get very, very, very well paid for the Jake Paul fight. I think he'll be back. I think he's having a bit of a sook at the moment, and I think after this one, he's finished counting his money and having a good time. I think we'll see him back in the ring. Eminem, okay. I said the Boots Lima fight is now for the WBA interim title. Okay, I wasn't aware of that. Well, it is vacant, so yeah, it does make sense. So Boots is ranked number 1. What did I say Lima was? 8. Okay, so yeah, makes sense. Yep. Maybe that's his way in, I suppose. And look, the odds are you'd probably think he'll fight Barrow next for the full belt. So who you'd probably see as the weaker champion in the division. We've got Murder Zaliov, Fundora, and Zayos. So arguably Zayos, I suppose. But yeah, all right. So maybe there's a method to Eddie's madness. Fredo, do you know if the Tico/Zuffa League will be cross-promoting, making fights with the other organisations, or will it be like UFC where fighters only fight under the same umbrella? Well, it looks like under the same umbrella, Fredo, because they're not recognising those belts. According to them, it'll just be the Zuffa and Ring Magazine belt. So this is the thing. The best fighters in that league won't be able to fight the best fighters the fighters that actually have those belts, because they won't be recognised, and those fighters aren't going to give up the belt to fight for no belts or to give up a WBC belt. So you're not going to have, a WBC champion give up the WBC belt just to fight a fighter that's in the Zuffa League. And I've got a feeling what will happen, that the sanctioning bodies won't lie down on this. They'll say, all right, if you don't want to play ball with us, then we're not going to give any of your fighters a chance. The Eddies and Oscars of the world and Frank Warrens and Bob Arams are going to say, well, we're not going to even contemplate fighting your fighters. And who else have they got? That, the odds are they'll start getting a lot of those younger fighters in, but that's going to take a long time, and there's no guaranteed success rate for those fighters. So again, I don't see how it works. He seems pretty confident about it, but I remain to be convinced, Fredo. Do you see Jai going to Bridgerweight? Mick Francis has mentioned it in a couple of interviews. I didn't see that, Axie Man, but surely Mick Francis would be taking the piss. How could you possibly want to go to Bridgerweight? I know. Look, the only reason I could probably see that they would look to go to Bridgerweight is simply to add another division on Jai's resume, to say, hey, it goes to heavyweight, we're a 3-division world champion. So, but Bridgerweight, it's not even ranked, or it's not even mentioned I'm on Boxing Scene at the moment, and it's not even in there. I think it's only recognised by the WBC, isn't it? So Mick, look, I think he's just having a bit of a lend of us, I would think. I mean, there's no big money fights at Bridgerweight, so I can't see why he would go to Bridgerweight, except for maybe a quick stop off to win a belt and say, hey, I'm a 2-division world champion, now I'm going to go into a 3rd. That's the only reason I can think of. Come on, Mick. All right, Fredo, I think for this TKO/Zuffa League to work, they're going to have to get some marquee names. I don't think Prospect Boxing is going to sell. Pro Box barely gets views. Yeah, I forgot even all about Pro Box. And now the other thing, Fredo's also got Manny Pacquiao saying now he's going to have a red-hot crack at being the number 1 promoter in the sport. So, which I think is not going to happen. But these are the questions, Fredo. These are the questions we've got. They've got no marquee names. How do they pry away those marquee names? I suppose the easiest thing is to go to a Naira Inoue or a Terence Crawford or a Canelo Alvarez or a Boots Ennis, whatever, and say, here's some big coin that's come to us. But if you're at the stage of any of those guys are at the moment, why are you going to roll the dice? They might throw a huge number at you money-wise, but you've got no guarantees of who you're going to fight. Is it going to be recognised? Is it not? Who's going to be the opponents they're going to bring over to fight you? There's so many questions to be asked. I just don't, again, see how it works. The marquee names aren't going to take any chances. And as I said, even if they get thrown a lot of money at them, I still don't see them leaving the current promoter. And the fact of the matter, most of them are contracted anyway. So why are you going to leave your, I suppose, comfortable position where you are and go to a totally unknown, even if there is a lot of money at stake? It could be another PBC situation where you're sitting on the shelf for 2 or 3 years and there's no one really to fight. A lot of promises and nothing happens. So yeah, I don't get it, Fredo, and yeah, I have my doubts. Flash. I wouldn't mind seeing Tim fight around the same time as the Las Vegas NRL in the latter part of February, whether in Vegas or elsewhere in the States. Yeah, it's been talked about for the last couple of years, hasn't it, Flash, that he might do that? Well, the timing would probably work. It hasn't sort of worked in the past, so maybe this is the time. Would he want that pressure on him, though? Maybe not. Well, look, maybe it might be the great reset, I suppose, where they do put him on that show, but February or March, whatever it is, would make a lot of sense, Flash. But I suppose, again, it comes down to the trainer and whether he thinks they're ready to go. So not a bad idea, though, to put him. I know Nikita's spoken about it as well, but Tim, yeah, definitely makes sense. Adam says, also remember, Huni didn't get a full camp for the Wardley fight. Yeah, good point, Adam. What do you get, about 4 or 5 weeks? So, excuse me, that. Yep, no, good point, Adam. All right, Richard. Simon Jordan from Talksport in the UK reckons Jai beats Itama. It's amazing how he's more respected and well known in the UK than here. Yeah, tell me about it, Richard. Yeah, I think I have said in the past that I think Jai beats Itama. I think the only advantage that Itama has over Jai Pup, obviously he's bigger at this stage, but we don't know how big Jai is going to get when he goes up. It's just the hand speed. I think that would bother Jai because everyone he's fought so far, I think he's had an advantage over. But the thing is with Itama as well is I want to see him past the 5th or 6th round. I think at the start, look, probably like a Mike Tyson towards the latter part of his career, lightning fast and powerful early in fights. As the fight went on, fatigue kicked in, whatever you might want to call it. The pace of the fight slows down. So is that when class comes to the surface, and that's where Jai beats him. He's a dangerous guy for those first 2 or 3 rounds, Itama. But I'm with Simon Jordan there, Richard. I think Jai beats Itama, but it's almost impossible to have a real definitive opinion of Moses Itama at the moment because we just haven't seen enough of him. Until he gets taken to deeper waters, not right out in the super deep, but semi-deep, I don't think we're just going to know what he's got to offer. So that's what I'm really intrigued to see. Eminem, Ben Hussein returned on the weekend with a round 1 stoppage. Hopefully some big fights incoming with him. Okay. Someone else actually asked me about that. Where are we? I'm going to type it. I want to see who he fought. I've got a feeling they're not a household name there, Eminem. Benjamin is saying the hype beast. Okay, so he beat Paulo Ratu Makoro. Where was he from? And I'm not getting too involved in this, by the way, because I know, again, it was just a comeback fight. But he's from Fiji. Yep. Okay, I get it. And had lost his 3 previous fights. But it is what it is. No drama. Just good to see him back, Eminem. And some good fights around for him. And maybe it's Nikita. Maybe it's a Dylan. Dylan Biggs is too heavy now, isn't he? Who's he been beefing it with for a while that he wants to fight? Brock Jarvis. That is obviously the fight that needs to be made. Shadow Boxer, what are your thoughts on hill sprints for boxing and fight fitness? Not a massive one for running, Shadow Boxer, even though I did it every day when I was fighting. I think it depends on what you are as far as being an amateur or pro. I would think for amateurs, maybe hill sprints, because you've got to remember it's a 3-round fight. So as long as it's done along the same lines as what a fight would be, so it might be a 3-minute sprint, 1 minute sort of jog back down, another 3-minute sprint, jog back down. That probably makes sense. As far as the pros, I'm not sure. I would probably think that you would want to get the miles into your body, but without maybe the stress of that on your legs. You got to remember fighting for 10 or 12 rounds. So you got to sort of try and simulate that. I would think, is it the bike they use? What is it? I can't remember the name of it. That it's like a bike, but it's got the arms as well. The something wheel or whatever the hell it's called. But that would be more, I think, beneficial. I would think. But for amateurs, probably, yeah, because you can simulate the 3 minutes and then 1 minute's break and do three of it, and I think that works well. Depends on the fighter as well. Shadow Boxer, some are more, wouldn't probably recommend it for fighters that are a bit sort of top heavy down below with the big thick legs. They've obviously put unnecessary stress on their shins, I would think. All right, Frito, it's been said Moses turned down a fight with Frank Sanchez with which winner gets Usyk. This kid is being pushed like the next Mike Tyson, so what's going on, you think? If you want to move him slow, just say so. Yeah, I did see he turned down the turned down the fight with Frank, Frito. He has also said that when it comes to Alexander Usyk, he'd fight him next fight, no problems. Because he said, look, I'm 20 years old. If I lose, well, I go again. If I win, I'm champion of the world. So that does make some sense. I think there would have been a strategic reason behind not fighting Frank Sanchez, Frito. I think they might have another fight already lined up. Maybe they have a bit of a blueprint for him, a bit of a roadmap to where they want him to get to, and maybe Frank Sanchez doesn't really fit where they're at this stage. But who knows? Maybe they've been promised the Usyk fight, and they've just got to win one more fight to keep busy, and so they don't need the risk of Frank Sanchez. You just don't know. So what's it say there? He's being pushed like the next Mike Tyson. Yeah, to some extent. And I think I've seen along the lines, I have said, look, they're not in any hurry with him. But, I've got a feeling that there might be something going on behind closed doors or behind the scenes that we might not necessarily know about at the moment. All right, got some good questions tonight. Adam Bennett, how do you see the career of Keyshawn Davis playing out? Well, I know he was talking about maybe retirement at one stage, wasn't he, Adam? But, yeah, look, I just hope he doesn't go down the track of a Tank Davis or one of those types of guys who just loses track of where they're at. I mean, he was always, as far as I knew or could see, that he was always a pretty well-spoken guy coming up. Obviously, he could fight. And then it seems like once he got a bit of cred, he started going off the rails with these fights and not making weight and all these types of things and brawling with his opponents or his brother's opponent, all this sort of stuff. I think he's all of a sudden thinks he's a bit of a gangster. I'm not sure, but I'm hoping that he follows maybe the blueprint of someone like a Shakur Stevenson, who looked like he might be going off the rails a couple of times and has got his career back on track. And also someone like a Terence Crawford. Look at what he's done and mirror your career on Terence Crawford. So I'm hoping that he gets it back on track, Adam, because at the moment he's in no man's land. I did see they might have a fight lined up for him early next year. I think I saw the other day. So we'll see. But, yeah, I would hate to see him go by the wayside, Adam, because he's got so much to offer. Could you say a few things about our local boxer, Stephen Marks? Cheers. Yes, I know Stephen Marks very well. I haven't seen him for a while there, Tony. Say a few things. Okay, well, I did go away with him a few times as an amateur on the state team, Tony, national teams and that sort of stuff. Just trying to see where. Okay, so he had a... last I knew as well, he ran a pretty successful gym down in Ringwood, I think, too, Tony. Didn't have the greatest pro career, 12 wins, 13 losses and 2 draws, but a lot of those losses were in his last sort of few years. But he fought everybody, did Stephen Marks. But as an amateur, Tony, very, very talented. As I said, went to numerous national titles with him. He was the one that actually fought Danny McGrail when... And he could punch, by the way, too, Tony. Big puncher. He actually broke... No, hang on. Danny McGrail actually hit him in the shoulder and broke... I think he broke his collarbone or something like that. And he actually won the fight with one arm. I'm pretty sure that was Stephen Marks that happened against. Where was it? It happened as a pro, I think, didn't it? Did he? I hope I'm correct here. Maybe I'm wrong. Just trying to find it on BoxRec. Danny McGrail. There you go. I wonder if it says anything about it. No, it doesn't say anything about it. I don't think. Hang on. No, it doesn't say anything about it. I'm pretty sure that was the fight there, Tony. So if that is the case, incredible heart by Stephen Marks to beat Danny McGrail. And I think they might have fought a few times as amateurs as well from memory. So, good guy, Tony. I haven't seen him for a few years, but last time I was there, I was in Ringwood. I can't remember the name of the gym, but a very, very well-run gym there, Tony. So hope he's doing well. Eminem, Sky Nicholson on December 6th card in a career-defining fight, she reckons. Okay. Sky Nicholson, okay. Oh, well, I suppose it's in conjunction with Matchroom, isn't it? So, yeah, it does make sense. A career-defining fight. Okay, we will see. At least one thing I'll say about Sky Nicholson, at least she's active. She's always busy. So, yes, okay, she's not the most exciting fighter. Her last fight was a lot more exciting than some of her others. But, yeah, I've got a respect for Sky that at least she keeps busy. She just needs to pick up the quality of her opponents, that's all. Naz says, are you talking about Steve Marks from 25 odd years ago? One of my good mates, Lincoln Stewart, lost to him in 99. Okay. Let's go back to that. So when did he turn pro? Would have been about that time, I reckon. He turned pro in 96. So he fought, there it is, Lincoln Stewart, 1999. Actually lost to Lincoln Stewart. Where is he? So that was at 139. So Lincoln Stewart ended up with a 15-4-1 record. Okay, there you go, Naz. That would be him, though, I'm assuming. Who could Jay Maloney be fighting on December 6th? Yeah, good call, Eminem. I'm not quite sure. I would say it'll be, look, I don't know, without sort of speculating too much, I wouldn't be too concerned if it was someone from the Philippines or something like that, just to get him a win. I mean, he hasn't fought for a while. Hang on, I better just type his name in here. Let's have a quick look. Jason Maloney. I reckon, has it been a year since he's fought? It'd be pretty close. So he's got a 27-4 record. Oh, no, yeah, he fought in February. Okay, so it's only been nearly 8 months. Okay, so, all right, and he's already, so he had 2 fights last year, only the one this year, so he's going to have 2, which is the average these days. Don't know Eminem, but as I said, mate, I wouldn't be surprised if it's someone from the Philippines or somewhere like that. Frito. If Inoue beats Picasso in December and Junto early in 2026, will he surpass Bud and Usyk for pound number 1? Inoue activity special fighting 4 times in 2025, whereas the other 2 fight once a year usually. It's a good question, Fredo. It'd be hard to offset Bud and Usyk, but geez, you look at the quality of opponents. Not so much Picasso, a solid fighter, but Junto Nakatani especially. I wouldn't think so, Fredo. I think it would put him at probably number, well, I'm not sure. When is it? December, early 2026. I suppose if Usyk hasn't had one fight before then, you would have to maybe put him in front of Usyk, but I don't think you're going to put him in front of Bud. I think the Canelo fight really puts Bud at the top of the tree at the moment. So I would probably put him at number 2 behind Bud and in front of Usyk Fredo if he beats Junto Nakatani. Tony, bare knuckle boxing is awful. That girl on the weekend will need plastic surgery for sure. And the main event was straight from the Middle Ages, just brutal. Yeah, I didn't see it, Tony. I just refused to watch it, mate. I have no interest in seeing it. I don't like the concept of it all. Look, I obviously love combat sports. I used to love punching on with people. It was fantastic. I love the thrill of it. I love the whole thing about one-on-one with somebody. I really appreciate that. But I'll be honest with you, I just see this as just legalized street fighting. That's all it is. I used to think the same about UFC, but just even UFC, it seems like at least they've got the small gloves on to some extent. But that bare knuckle boxing, I didn't see what you're talking about there with the girl. Girls doing bare knuckle. Oh, I don't like it. It's bad enough seeing them sometimes in boxing and UFC, but yeah, no, not for me, Tony. Not as bad as that slap bullshit they go on with, but yeah, yeah, not for me. That's all I'll say. Full credit to them. I've all the respect in the world for anyone that jumps in the ring, whether it be bare knuckle or UFC or boxing or whatever it might be. But I just don't like the whole premise of being in the ring with someone with no protection at all. I know they've got I think they have the wrist bandaged up, don't they? Something like that. Look, this was phased out over a century ago, probably 150 years ago, really. Because of the dangers involved, because boxing started with bare knuckle. And to think that we've gone through all these decades, centuries, if you will, of trying to get it right and be safe for participants, it's like we've almost gone back in evolution to bring it back now, just for entertainment. I can really see something bad happening in bare knuckle, Tony, and I will not be watching it, mate. Hey, and good luck to Conor McGregor, Anthony Mundine here in Australia. They're businessmen. That's good. If people want to do it and they're allowed to do it, that's fine, but it doesn't mean I've got to like it or watch it. So, what's that? Bare knuckle fights main event with Mike Perry was exciting, though. Okay, yeah, no, don't know about that one, mate. Richard, how do you rate Joe Calzaghe as one of the greats? I personally think he doesn't get enough credit. I agree, Richard, that he doesn't get enough credit. Although, does he? He was rated just recently as the number 1 British boxer of all time. So I think that's enough credit to say he's beaten out the likes of Lennox Lewis and these types of guys, and Prince Nassim and all the great British fighters they've had over the journey. So I think that's getting credit. But where do I rate him as one of the greats? It's hard to say, Richard, because he just didn't have any legacy wins. That's the problem. There was no Hearns to his Hagler, or Leonard to his Duran, or Holyfield to his Tyson, anything like that. That's the problem. And I don't want to hear Roy Jones Jr. or Bernard Hopkins way past the best. So it's really hard to rate him, Richard, because he just didn't have a a dance partner. Maybe back in the day there had been maybe a James Toney or someone around, but there's still, James Toney was a very, very good fighter, but I don't think one of the greats. I think Hopkins and Jones were great, but he just beat them at the wrong time of their careers. So impossible to mount a case for him, Richard, because as I said, he just didn't have any legacy wins. But he does get enough credit because, as I said, he's been rated #1 British boxer of all time. Tony, out of Heathmont, and my brothers and I got behind all local talent: Trotter, Westerman, Russell, Miller, and Stephen Marks. Yeah, well, it is the same Stephen Marks that we're talking about then. So you had Craig Trotter, Dale Westerman, Dave Russell, Tony Miller, and Stephen Marks. There's a few others around back then too. I remember Tony. I remember who were some of the other ones around there back then, back in the day. It was just a good time around the Melbourne suburbs back in the day. But Craig Trotter, he was a very, very good amateur. I think he had a few pro fights. He might have won a WBF title or something like that. But yeah, he did okay as a pro. Dale Westerman, Dave Russell, of course, and Tony Miller, all very, very good fighters as well. So no, it was a great period back then, Tony. Some tough nuts back around in those days. Naz, I can't watch any of the Ring YouTube channel shows anymore. Max Kellerman's kissing Dana's ring is unbearable. I'd rather watch the history of boxing with Peter Badal instead. Is there such a thing, is there, Naz? The history of boxing? I'm with you, Naz. I used to really like Max Kellerman when he was with Showtime. Was he with HBO at one stage? But being on ESPN and everything else, I used to really agree with a lot of things he used to say. He used to keep that other peanut in check. What's his name? The Stephen A. Smith, is it? I think that's his name. Although he's come out with some half decent comments recently as well, Stephen A. Smith. But the fact that now he's been re-employed by the Riyadh season crew and the Ring and everything else, yeah, I understand that he's got to be very praiseworthy of those guys, but the way he's now just pretty much sucking ass to those guys, it almost makes you sick, doesn't it? And I was really glad that Canelo Alvarez actually picked him up on it at the press conference. And the history of boxing with Peter Badal, I better check that out. And g'day to Peter if he's watching at the moment or listening later. All right, Fredo. Tank is 31 in 2 months and is shown to be more a celebrity boxer more than a legacy fighter, so I don't follow him anymore. Yeah, I've put a line through him, Fredo. He's out. He's out of the gang. Max is on the payroll for a reason, I reckon. Richard says, Richard, yes, I agree. All right. I love when these comments come up, when it's about debates. I had a debate with a friend, and he disagreed with me strongly. All right, we're off to a good start. I claimed Riddick Bowe is possibly the greatest waste of heavyweight talent of all time. Outside the epic Hollywood trilogy, his resume is weak. Oh, the biggest waste or greatest waste of heavyweight talent of all time. It's almost a trick question or a trick comment there, Drew, because greatest waste of heavyweight talent. He won the heavyweight title. So it's not really a waste, but I get what you're saying. He didn't fight Lennox Lewis. He didn't fight Mike Tyson. He didn't fight Tommy Morrison. Didn't fight Ray Mercer. As far as I know, I won't go to his record now. But you're right. Outside of the Holyfield fights, didn't fight really anyone of note. And we're not including Andrew Gallotta or anyone like that in there as well. Hang on there. I'm going to have a quick look at his record here. There, Drew, because now you've got me curious. But the fact he didn't fight Lennox Lewis or Mike Tyson, that there shows that he wasn't fair dinkum. All right, now I'm being asked to do this check thing where you got to... Where are we? There's another one. To verify the account. Come on. Can't believe it's making me do this. Okay. No, we won't go to the box rec because I've got to click photos with cars. And where is it? All right, I think I got them all. Yes, now we're cool. All right. Can't believe it made me do that just then. These little, you got to click the squares. All right. Who have we got? Riddick Bowe, Big Daddy. Saw him at the expo the other week, looking like he's been in a good pasture. All right, let's go back and see his record there, Drew, and let's see if your argument holds weight or holds water. All right, nothing. Pinklon Thomas in 1990. Okay, well past his best. Smoking Bert Cooper, probably well past his best as well. I was going to say, Tommy Morrison's actually Tony Morrison. He fought Terrell Biggs in 1991, Olympic gold medalist. Tony Tubbs in 91 as well. These aren't too bad of fighters, Drew. I know they'll pass their best, though. Bruce Selden, first round knockout. Don't worry about those Elijah Tillery fights. They were entertaining, though. Holyfield, Michael Dokes, yep. Who else is there? Andrew Gallotta. Yeah, not much after that. Yeah, look, I won't say... Well, it is weakish, Drew. Weakish. Not totally weak, but weakish. But yeah, as I said, the fact that he never fought Lennox Lewis or Mike Tyson or Tommy Morrison or Ray Mercer, those types of guys, I'm with you. But geez, the Holyfield wins sort of does score him a few points, doesn't it? Now, actually, I suppose the question you're asking here, would I agree with what you're saying in the debate with your friend? I'm going to say one of the greatest wastes of heavyweight talent of all time, Drew. I can't go all in. I'm going to say one of the greatest wastes of talent of all time. Naz, those were the days. Tony Fred Knuth, is it? Ben Rabar. Was he from Melbourne, was he? I don't know some of those. I know Eddie Delic there, Naz. All right, Drew, there is apparently truth to the rumour that Max Kellerman's dogs are called Dana and Turkey. Wouldn't surprise me, Drew. Probably name his next two kids after him as well, I would say. Super fit version of Dave Allen this weekend. I really think he will get Arslan out of there, who has been really exposed of late. Should be a fun fight while it lasts. I forgot that fight was on 8-0. I don't mind watching Dave Allen fight. Don't know much about Arslan, but yeah, is it on? I'm assuming it's on DAZN, is it? I better check that one out because I don't mind Dave Allen. He's entertaining, that's for sure. Let's hope he is a super fit version. Naz says it's sad to see he overdoes it so much. He used to be great to listen to, but it's cringe as it gets now. This is Max Kellerman, yep. Tony says, damn straight, fights at the Dorset were grouse, especially out in the car park with a wannabe gut full of piss. Could have been contenders, yeah. The fight nights are always good, aren't they? Adam, Turkey and Dana are up to something. Smells funny to me. Well, they are up to something. They've been pretty open about it. The Zuffa boxing is what they're up to. The only thing I can think of, Adam, is that maybe Turkey's got this massive payroll. He's about to go out there and or massive budget. He's got to go out and poach a few of the good fighters. But again, I'm not sure those really good fighters are going to take the plunge, especially if they're world champions at the moment or on the brink of some big fights. So we'll see. All right, Naz. Dave Allen facing off against Magmadov is going to be lit. The normal bloke from the pub facing off against a giant. Dave might have too many skills, I'm hoping. Yeah, he's got some ability, Naz, does Dave Allen. Don't know much about Magmadov at all. I think maybe I'm just not recognising the name. I did see the fight poster. Has he been on some of the Riyadh season cards before? I should know this, shouldn't I? I've got a boxing podcast and I don't know who Magmadov is, but I'm sure I do. I'm sure I've seen him fight somewhere. But Dave Allen, I like him. Entertaining, limited, but very entertaining. Undercard for Parker Wardley is lackluster. All right, let's have a look, see if it's on BoxRec yet. I'm looking forward to that fight. I think it'll be a cracker. I think if Parker boxes like we know he's capable of, I think he'll win easy. But as we saw with Wardley, anything's possible. All right, Joseph Parker. Where are you, Joseph? All right, let's see the undercards up. Yep, anytime. Oh, yeah, here we go. All right, so Parker and Wardley over 12. We've got Lewis Edmondson and Ezra Taylor over 12. We've got Danny Quartermain, Royston Barney Smith over 10. Couple of TBAs. Yeah, you're right. I mean, Edmondson's 11-1, Taylor's 12-0, Quartermain's 13-0, and Barney Smith is 14-0. But yeah, doesn't really warm the cockles, Eminem. But look, it's one of those fights I'm not that stressed about. I just want to see the main event. It's one of those cards I'm not worried about. I just want to see Parker versus Wardley. and see whether Wardley can land a big shot. If I'm picking a winner, though, it's Parker by a pretty comfortable decision. He might even stop Wardley late, I think. Naz, Moorabbin Town Hall had some good ones too, and Malvern Town Hall, yeah. I remember fighting as an amateur at Moorabbin Town Hall, Naz. That was back in, that would have been 1985 or something like that, I remember. I think I was 10 or something like that, 10 or 11 at Moorabbin Town Hall. And I actually had almost a panic attack in there. I actually won the fight, but spent the last round dry reaching, trying to stay away from my opponent. Just the nerves got to me. Never fought at Malvern Town Hall, but I've done about 6 or 7 shows at Malvern. It's a great venue for fights, that's for sure. What's that, Amelia? What's Neil's nighttime routine? Thanks, Amelia. I'll tell you what he'll be doing about now, Amelia. He's laying on the couch, sound asleep. He has his afternoon feed, then goes outside for a little while, does his business and rolls around out in the dirt, comes back in, goes to sleep, waits till my wife is cooking dinner, hangs around to get a few scraps of chicken or beef, whatever's going, or steak, or whatever it might be, and then he jumps back up and goes to sleep until about 10:30, and then jumps down, goes outside, does his business, comes in and goes to bed. So a big day for him. Like most bulldogs, Amelia, not very active. Although in the morning, he loves his walk. Every morning we go, it's always around an hour we go for, sometimes more. He always loves that, but when you get him at home, he just lies on the couch all day, does not move. Especially in winter, he loves it in front of the fire. So, and I feel great doing it, Amelia, because I think I've mentioned here before, he's a rescue dog. He was 7, I think, when we got him, or nearly 7. And I know he's had a very hard life, and we've got to be careful with him sometimes. He can get a bit jumpy and he does cower at some of the little things. You might move a certain way or something, and he cowers, and it really breaks my heart, because I would hate for any dog to feel that way. But we just give him as much love as we can. He goes for his walks, he gets well fed, he gets all the love in the world, and it's the best thing we've done, Amelia, because we haven't had a rescue dog before, so it was a great thing to do. And I encourage anyone out there that if you're going to get a dog, get a rescue dog. Not necessarily a bulldog, but just get a rescue dog, because I'm telling you, very, very worthwhile to give a dog a second chance. So, g'day, OG. Thank you, mate. Appreciate your comments there. Tony, if my older brother, I'd agree if my older brother and his mates didn't take me, I didn't go off the Barrelgrave line, as I wasn't allowed to drive a car for a spell. Oh, this is back in the day. Ryan, will you be heading over to the MGM ground to watch Thurman Fundora? And has the undercard been announced yet? Well, I think I think some of the undercard's been announced. I get sort of a bit confused with who's on there, because we've got, I had in my mind Lamont, Roach and Cruz were on, but they're the following month on the Roan show. Hang on, I'll just see. I think some of the fights have been, it has been announced. Ryan, hang on. I think, Shane Mosley Jr. is fighting, who is he fighting? Ramos Jr.? Jesus Ramos Jr.? Yeah, there it is. There it is, yeah. So Sharky Foster, Stephen Fulton, great fight. Jesus Ramos Jr., Shane Mosley Jr., and the other one is not familiar, Isaac Lucero and Roberto Valenzuela. Okay, yep, that won't be a bad fight either. That's at Super Welter, yep, 154. So there's some fights there, Ryan, and looking forward to seeing how Shane Mosley goes against Jesus Ramos Jr. But to answer your question, no, I won't, Ryan. I'm actually heading over, doing the family trip. We're heading over on November the 14th. We're flying to Dallas. I've got just enough frequent fly. Well, I've got no frequent flyer points left anymore. They're all gone with this trip. But yeah, myself, my wife, and my son. One of my sons, the other one's staying home and going to Japan in December with his friends for his birthday. We are going on the 14th of November. We're flying to Dallas, then we're flying to New York. We're going to do the UFC. In New York, the basketball, and then go up to Boston for a few days as well. We love getting to Boston. It's almost like our second home now. And so, yeah, we were actually just going to drive from Dallas to Boston and take, say, a week to get there, which would probably take about that long anyway. But when the UFC was on, my son said I'd love to go, so why not? And it just so happens the Celtics are playing in New York while we're there, so it works out really, really well. But so no, mate, I'll be back on the when am I back? The 26th, I think I'm back. So, all right, Ado, did you hear about the Angel Fierro disqualification for kicking out in his fight in Tijuana? No, I didn't, Ado. Turned into a melee in the ring. Wild scenes. Not sure he needed that at this stage of his career. No, I didn't see or hear anything about that. I must admit, I haven't been on social media too much lately. I just put my stuff up myself and don't really. I look at all the boxing sites, but I haven't really been on the scrolling or whatever you might want to call it. So I didn't see it, mate. But I'll look out for it on YouTube and see if I can find it. The fight predictor on BoxRec is a bit of fun. I haven't seen that there. Eminem, where are we? Fight predictor. All right. How do you do that? Do you click on the fight? I don't know how to do that. Don't know. I'm not going to try now while I'm live on YouTube. So, fight predictor. Okay, no idea. Let us know there, Eminem. All right, Drew. Not sure there'll be an appetite for Canelo Crawford 2. Does he do the fake Paul circus approach or retire with one more win against a beatable opponent? Yeah, I've got a. I was just going to say I've got a feeling they will do it, Drew, because of the success of the first fight. You got to remember, Turki Al-Sheikh, is obviously experienced in the business world and obviously got a lot of coin and all the rest of it. I would think he'd be looking at Canelo and Crawford and saying, geez, we've got to do this again. What a money spinner it was and the success that it was and everything else. So we've got to do it without really having his finger on the pulse as far as the fans go and thinking, there's other fights I'd rather see. I don't think anyone could really make an argument that Canelo would win the rematch. I think if anything, Crawford might win easier. So I'm with you. I don't think there's an appetite for it. I think there's an appetite for maybe Crawford, as I said, to go back down to 160 or someone come up to 160 and meet him there. For Canelo, I mean, don't know. I'm sure there'll be no shortage of opponents that want to fight him, but where does he go from here? I mean, he looked really washed in that fight. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. And some other big fights all being made. Maybe he does go down the Jake Paul, would you say they're fake Paul circus for one more fight? Don't know, mate, but it'll be fascinating to see what happens next. And Crawford's actually said, unless it's a massive offer for a massive fight next, he's just going to retire. So we'll see. What's this, Jack? I know I'm late, but you're the promoter that's done the most for Aussie boxing in the last decade. There hasn't been a recent world champ that you haven't been involved with. You or VSG anyway. Good one, Jack. I didn't even think of myself there, Jack. Thank you for the kind words anyway. But yeah, no, we've had a few Aussie, world champs on our promotion. We had a conversation about this recently, didn't we, Jack? Some of our shows we've had on our events, we've had Tim Zhu, these are the world champions. So Tim Zhu, the Maloneys, Jai Pataya. Who else have we had on there? The girls have had Shanika Johnson, Shannon O'Connell. Trying to think of the other world champions we've had fighting. Other ones like Michael Zarafa, Brock Jarvis, Jade Mitchell. Trying to think there, Jack. You've sort of got me on the hop there. But yes, wouldn't say we've done the most for Aussie boxing, mate, but we've had a crack anyway. We've had a crack. Isaac Hartman was on our cards as well. Some good guys. All right, Tony, can anybody confirm this to be true or BS? Got assured that evil walkout music from Tyson versus Spinks was written or made by Prince of all people. Oh, I'm not sure it would take someone like an artist like Prince to get that done, Tony. If you remember that Mike Tyson walked out to it was just like a bass sound with chains clanking in the background every sort of 10 seconds. So I'm not sure, whether it would take someone of the genius of Prince to do that, but that's the first I've heard about it, Tony. What's that? Big boys boxing. Let's go White Rhino. OG, just noticed you have something in common with Jermaine Taylor. You both beat Fritz Roberts as amateurs. You would have cleaned him up, Mr. Hosking. Is that right? Fritz Roberts. Did I fight him? Did I? Actually, I do remember Fritz Roberts. I'm surprised you know that. Is it on BoxRec or something, is it? I think I fought him at the Commonwealth Games. OG, geez, you're right on the ball, aren't you? Let me have a look. Does it have amateur records on there? I am on BoxRec. There you go. With a record of 5-2. There you go. Never fought pro, but I've got a record of 5-2. Yep, Fitz Roberts is on there. Where was that? Yeah, Kuala Lumpur. There you go. It's got the 3 fights from Kuala Lumpur on there. That is crazy. All right. That's pretty interesting to look yourself up on. Got another common opponent there too, OG, with Jermaine Taylor. With Leonard Bundu. We both fought him. And also, I'm just looking at his record now. And hang on, that is... Oh, and I know that wrong one, sorry. I'm thinking of Nurzhan Smirnov. He's a Kazakhstan fighter. Fought him at the Olympics. He also fought Jermaine Taylor as well. So there you go. Geez, some big fights back in the day. Anyway, bit of reminiscing. Sorry, guys. I've lost my train of thought there. There you go, OG. Ryan, Tank Davis might be the first Zuffa champion. Yeah, probably. Maybe they'll get Jake Paul over there, mate. Mark Madoff fought Ajit Kabir. Is that right? Okay. Now I think I remember him, Mark. Thanks for that. Drew, the Zuffa belt will be as appealing and handy as a door stopper or paperweight. I'm with you there, Drew. I don't think it holds any weight whatsoever. Hey, but as long as they only recognize the ring belt, makes them recognizable, doesn't it, Drew? Makes them legit. All right. Andy says Riddick Bowe was a legit decorated heavyweight, in my opinion, but he dropped in my all-time greats heavyweight list simply for that duck of Lennox Lewis. Yep. Lennox was best in his era after Mike Tyson's reign earlier. Yeah, I'm with you there, Andy. Richard, do you get swooped by magpies out your way? Well, I'm touching wood here, Richard, because I think they still might be around. They're everywhere around my neighbourhood, but I haven't been swooped yet, mate. But I must admit, I'm always looking over my shoulder because I was terrorised as a kid. I've got PTSD by the bastards as a kid walking to school. I get swooped every morning, and you'd be looking around, and then as soon as you just looked away, then they'd come and they'd get you. So, which is why I hate the football team too, Richard, with a passion. I hate Collingwood as well. So, but I don't get swooped, but I see him everywhere, mate. I've got a feeling we might just be on the on the opposite side of the tunnel now of the magpie swooping season. So let's hope so. But I'm touching wood just in case because I've got to go out in the morning. Tuisi Vosuatu has just announced on his Instagram he's signed his next fight. No limit card incoming. What's that? No limit card incoming thinking. Okay, we'll keep a lookout for that, Eminem. I trimmed the horse's hooves today and some magpies swooped me on the neck. Geez, they're bastards, Tony. This is why we hate the football team too, mate. Ado, I love the magpies. All right. That's me I'm talking about. People call him the bird whisperer so much so he takes detours across paths with them on his morning walks. I'll do anything to keep away from them, Ado. I hate the bloody things. I've got 2 that come to our porch every single morning, and we always give them some food. So I just try and keep in sweet because they're the ones that are straight across the road. So if I keep in sweet with them, they might let all the other magpies around the neighbourhood know that I'm not such a bad guy and just to keep away from me. But they really scare the shit out of me, Ado. Daniel, hi there, mate. Is that right? Prince was a massive Tyson fan and vice versa. There you go. This is about the ring walk music. It's true. Okay. Very, very good call there, Tony. Drew, I can feel a bit of a flat spot happening in the heavyweight division at the moment. I'm happy for Usyk and his titanic achievements, but with him cleaning house and currently injured, it feels a bit flat. It does, mate, it does. None of the heavyweights are really gearing to be the next opponent for Usyk because no one really knows what's going on. I know they're still talking about Anthony Joshua and Fury fighting next year. I believe that when I see it. But for Usyk, because he's just in limbo at the moment, and he's not about or in the process of announcing his next opponent, it does feel a little bit flat. But we've got fights like Wardley and Parker to fill the void a little bit there, Drew. But yeah, I'm with you there, mate. It doesn't quite feel the same as it has in the last couple of years, has it? All right, Drew. Are we at the end of the comments here? We might be. It might be an early night. Do you think it's conceivable that Nikita might become a bigger draw than Tim if he's matched carefully and learns from Tim's journey to an extent? No. I don't think Nikita becomes a bigger draw than Tim. No, I don't think so. I think Tim was just just the timing of Tim to come about when he did. The boxing media were looking for someone to latch onto as well, and I just think he come along at exactly the right time. He got the right promoter behind him. He got the media behind him. Australian boxing fans sort of really got behind him as well, and I just think it was a bit of a perfect storm of a lot of different things, and I think it was just one out of the box. But for Nikita, I don't know. Well, they're doing the best at the moment, aren't they, Drew? They're really trying to push him into that void that Tim sort of left vacant there for a while. But I think majority of fans sort of see Nikita as, I hate to say this, but almost a little bit of a Timu version of Tim. A bit of a cheap replacement. I don't like saying that because I've got all the respect for Nikita, because he's got a lot of talent. He's got charisma, but I just think most people are under the impression that he's just not as good as Tim and never will be. So I'm not sure. Mate. But we will see. What else we got there, guys? Hang on. Did I answer that there? If he's matched carefully and learned from Tim's journey to an extent. Well, I think his team will be a lot more cautious with him too, Drew. Maybe because they don't want a repeat of what happened with Tim as far as being kicked to the curb. But who knows? I'm not sure. We will see. Tony's off. Good night, legends. Early start. Let's have a quick look while we're going. No comments coming through. I wanted to see what shows we've got coming up and any worthwhile. I'll get your question in a sec there. Daniel, probably need to get you back on there soon. We haven't done a fight week for a while, have we? I'm actually thinking, I think I said last week, thinking about doing a show, even for starters once a month or something for initially, just to get a few panelists on and do what we're doing now, but just amongst ourselves and talk some boxing amongst a panel of sort of 3 or 4 people. We'll see how we go. All right, so Australia, where are we? All right, what do we got coming up? Actually, I'll get to you in a sec there, Daniel. So the 18th of October, we have fight night at the Fortitude Stadium. That must be Fortitude Gym, I would think. Leah Rubin, Christine Gillespie. So the girls are on there. Don't really know much about that. Okay, this one's not a bad one. Saturday, 25th of October in Gunnedah. Wade Ryan is back against Kristana Sri Sang. Jeez, it's only a 6-rounder. Jeez, would have thought that he'd be capable of a lot more than that. Wade Ryan. Sunday night on the card as well. What else we got? Same night in Port Lincoln. Sam Dwyer. Don't really know much about that one. And then that November 7th card. So, yeah, not a lot coming up on the Australian scene, but we'll see. All right. What have we got here? I know you've said previously that you had business interests outside of boxing to help with the itch, but how hard was it? Once a fighter, always a fighter. Was it an easy transition? Good question, Ryan. Thanks for asking that. Look, it's a massive thing for a fighter, and not just probably a fighter, any sort of sports person, I think, but especially for a fighter, because it takes a special type of person to become a fighter. You got to love the isolation. You got to love the thrill and adrenaline of throwing down with someone, the danger involved, all those things involved with it. It takes a different, and as I said, a special type of person, I think, to get in between the ropes and actually punch on with somebody. A planned fight, which is hard to get your head around. So a lot of people get used to that. They get used to, obviously, the money. They get used to all the attention on social media or the news, whatever it might be. And all of a sudden it's over, and it's very hard to deal with. I was lucky. My business interest. So just a quick overview of what happened to me. So I went to the Commonwealth Games in 98, the end of 98. And I've always wanted to have a business. I wanted to have a pub, and I had a pub sort of in the wings. I was about to get married. I wanted to start a family, all that sort of stuff. So it was quite easy. And when I got into the pub life, it was so exciting for me and so new and everything. It just totally consumed me for probably about the next 10 years. It really did. I just ate, sleep, drunk, business, with the same drive and everything that I had as a boxer. So it was really easy for me. That competitive spirit and the itch you talk about there was easily satisfied because I had so much to keep me busy. Always about how do I become the best, and how do I do this, and how do I do that, and how do I become the best that I can be and make the business the best that I can be. And it was an exciting time for the liquor industry as well. It was very flat. and we just took it and blew it into smithereens of what we were doing. So it was exciting. It was challenging. So, as I said, on the same boat I had, or in the same boat I had, them getting married and wanting to have, well, we had kids about 5 or 6 years later. So I was very, very lucky in that regard. But you're right. Once a fighter, always a fighter. For me, it was a very easy transition, mate. It really was. But I can understand for a lot of people that it's not, because not a lot of we're talking about boxers here, but not a lot of boxers have anything apart from that. I was very, very lucky to have, as I said, the drive to do something else. But a lot of fighters, this is all they know, and they've done it from such an early age. A lot of them have troubled backgrounds. Maybe not very educated, all that sort of stuff. And the one thing that really anyone can do is fight. And I think a lot of them become successful at fighting because they mightn't necessarily have the intellect to become a smart businessman or whatever it might be, but they have the drive and talent and determination, heart, whatever you might want to call it, to become a good boxer. So, and then once that's gone, they haven't really got anything to lean back on except for maybe opening a gym or something like that. Really, really tough. So while it was easy for me, I really feel for a lot of the boxers out there. And look, well, it's not it's not unusual for most fighters to retire with nothing. Probably less than what they went into boxing with, because it costs a lot of money and you don't make a lot. So I really feel for him. I really do, Ryan. Excuse me there. Because I've seen so many of the guys I used to fight with or against or whatever it might be, or just used to watch on TV or admire from afar, and really fall on hard times, and it's hard to see. And but yeah, it's there's no easy way around it, Ryan, because you simply can't replicate the feeling and everything that you get when you go in there and punch on. And I still remember even now that feeling of being in the change rooms, the feeling of the bell. The bell going for the fight, the last bell going for the fight just before me. And I was only an amateur, remember. I wasn't a pro, so I can just imagine what they went through or they go through. But you're in the change rooms warming up, getting ready, and then you hear ding and you hear the crowd roar for the end of the fight before you. That's when I still remember the feeling of literally my guts just dropping through the floor. Not in the way you think it is, but just the feeling like my stomach is just falling out. That's the feeling I had, and my heart had fallen out of my chest. Very, 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 very. It was exciting and everything like that, but I was shitting my pants every single fight, and I make no excuses about that. But then as soon as you make that ring walk, and again, just amateurs, but I'm sure it's the same being amateur or pro, just the ring walk out. And as soon as I got in the ring, it was all gone. The fear and everything like that was gone, and it was just, all right, let's go. But you can't replicate it. You really can't. I'm assuming when people jump out of planes, all that sort of stuff, maybe that does it for them. But for a fighter, it's a special feeling to actually get in the ring, stand across from your opponent, realize this is about to go down. The announcer calls your name, and even just the thrill of the little, it's not little, but even the things like not necessarily in the ring, but when you're at national level or international level, to walk out into a stadium of 100,000 people with the Australian tracksuit on. I still remember the feeling of that, walking out and just seeing the crowd go up at the Olympics and Commonwealth Games, and how excited I was and how proud I was and everything like that. I mean, it was just a blur, the whole thing. But there's certain things about it that to this day I still have the feelings about it. One thing I don't miss is the making weight, of being hungry and thirsty and just really distressed the night before a weigh-in, just not being able to sleep because you're so hungry and thirsty. I won't miss that. But also remember how good it was after the weigh-in and the week after of just going nuts on food and everything. So lots of ordinary feelings, but lots of really happy feelings as well. But as I said, I still remember the feelings that I used to, or the sensations I used to have of going out to fight. And you just can't fill that void. So it's a tough one there, mate, but thanks for the question. Daniel, any word on Jason Maloney's opponent for December 6th? Wrapped to hear his Simon Tasman great fit. Well, it is a great fit, and it was great to see, Daniel, but nah, mate, I don't know. I don't know. Do you know George Jones from Port Macquarie back in the day as an amateur? George Jones. No. I don't. OG, fill me in, mate. Who was he? What do we got there? Drew, if there's one dream fight that never eventuated that you wish you could have seen, what would have been? Well, funny you should ask that, Drew. One dream fight that never eventuated. Okay, so not my favourite. What's that there? What's it say? Is there one dream fight never eventuated that you wish you could have seen that? What would it have been? So, is it a fight? I'm assuming what you're saying there, Drew, is it two fighters from the same era that never fought for whatever reason, rather than just a dream fight of different decades. If there's, well, in Australia, mate, I would love to have seen Jeff Fennick and Barry Michael or Lester Ellis. I would have loved to have seen that in Australia. Internationally, around the same time, that's a good question. I mean, you could probably say Lewis and Bo would have been a good one at the time at heavyweight. I'm just trying to think. It's a tough one. If you're looking at dream fights from different eras, Drew, I had a few that I read out on Walking Boxing the other day. Where was it? I had Mayweather Leonard. I had Duran Chavez. I had De La Hoya and Canelo. I had Zhu Pacquiao and Holmes Foreman. They were the sort of 5 fights that I think would be my favourite. In Australia, it was Fennick and Michael, Ellis and Peden, Lionel Rose, Johnny Fermichon, and Danny Green and Jeff Harding. They were the ones that they sort of just missed each other. But around the same time, you got to say Lewis and Bo in the heavyweights. And even to this modern day, you'd have to say Fury and Joshua. So lots of them out there, mate. I'll have a bit of a think about it. All right. Does Haney have enough pop in his right hand? I'm assuming it's straight right hand, and his jab to keep Norman honest. After seeing Devon versus Barbosa, where he looks so skittish, I'm surprised Devon takes on the big, young, hard puncher. I'm with you there, Bobby. I was surprised as well that he actually took the fight. They obviously know something that we don't. I think he can outbox Norman, for sure, 100%. I think being at welterweight will actually help him. I think he'll be nice and strong. I know the obvious thing is to say, well, he's going up in weight. And his chin's been a bit suspect at the lower weights. How will it be at 147? I think it'll actually help him. I think he'll be a lot stronger and healthier at 147. Norman's a good fighter. It has looked good, but against very inferior opposition. Haney is a very, very good fighter. And up until the Garcia fight, I had him in my top 10 pound for pound list. So I'm actually thinking Haney might win the fight. I don't think it really matters if he has a pop in his punches. He's never been a big puncher anyway. I think he can outbox Norman. I really do. I wouldn't surprise me if Norman nails him as well. But if I had to pick one, I'm going for Haney. Should be a great fight. I'm really happy the fight's happened though, Bobby. Norman's obviously, he's welcomed the challenge, and Haney said, well, I'll go up and take the best fight that I can. So hats off to both of these guys for actually making this fight happen. Eminem, I saw Shotgun Shannon was supposed to be on that October 18 card. Steve from Fortitude said in an interview the other day. I didn't know that. Actually, did she mention it? I wasn't sure she actually confirmed October 18, Eminem, but yeah, I'm not sure, mate. I know she's a bit frustrated with the sport at the moment. Must be hard. I mean, all you want to do is fight, and no one will fight you. I don't get it. But yeah, it's unfortunately her age is going against her at the moment, Eminem. But let's hope she gets one more crack at it soon. How's the KO Lounge doing? Yeah, okay, Eminem. I'm not going to lie and say it's been hitting the ball out of the park. Been disappointed in the numbers. We actually had probably about 15 or something there yesterday to watch the UFC, but yeah, I can't put my finger on it, Eminem. I've just got a feeling that people are just more used to now just watching it at home. Even for the Tim Tszyu fights and stuff, I'm not sure whether it's like what it's like at the big venues, but yeah, we might get 20 people, which is great, or 20 even sometimes. I think for the last Tim Tszyu fight, we might have even had up to about 30 people in the lounge, which is okay. It's only a small lounge, and the atmosphere was apparently really good. But the problem is, mate, is that they the Foxtel takes $600 a week off us just to have Foxtel on, and then they want $700 to $1,000. I think it was $1,000 for Tim Tszyu. Now you might have 50 people in there, and that's $1,000. Probably you got to pay for a staff member as well. So let's just say it cost $1,000. That's $1,000 profit you got to have. And even with 50 people in there, if that's what you got there, they've all got to spend about $30 each on average just to pay for the cost. So it's really hard to make any money out of it. So I'm not sure, Eminem. It's okay. It looks great. We get so much feedback on it, but I'm just not sure whether fight fans like to go out anymore. I'm just not sure. And if they do like to go out, they don't spend. So many. I know the cost of living and everything like that, but the amount of times we've had a lounge full of people, we've paid all the money for the pay-per-view, and people are drinking tap water. Come on, guys, at least buy a Coke and help try and fund the event. So that does put a sour taste in the mouth, Eminem. The people love it, but yeah, I'm not going to lie and say it's booming because it's tough to get a crowd these days to pubs. It really is. All right, Bobby, if Teo plays games making this Shakur fight after he just pulled out of the Devon fight, somebody should step in. This is ridiculous. I think Teo fighting Boots was a load of crap as well. Yeah, well, he does talk it up a lot, Bobby. So, yeah, what do you say? If Teo plays games making Shakur... Well, let's hope it just gets done, Bobby. I don't want Teofimo Lopez playing the games that he has in the past, like you say there. Just sign the fight. Let's get it on. Be a great fight, him and Shakur. Pick 'em fight, 50-50 fight, and along with fights like Norman and Haney, we need to make these types of fights. Fighters are adrenaline junkies. You have to have a bit of crazy mix with a super competitive personality. Yeah, that's what I said about a special, or maybe it's not a special type of fighter. It's a different person. It's a different type of person, Daniel. But no, I will say you got to have a special type of fighter. I will back that up because to think that you're going to get in on there, get in the ring and actually, you're going to punch on with somebody. Yeah, you got to have sometimes a bit of a screw loose, but you're right, a super competitive personality, but you've also got to have a bit of ticker about you. And I don't care whether you last 1 minute or you win by knockout in 1 minute. You've got to have something a bit special running inside you there, mate, and not everyone can do it. So that's why I've got full respect for anyone that jumps in there. They are a different bunch though, Daniel. Also, Shotgun Story today might say otherwise. Okay, I'm not sure. I'll have to check that out. I haven't seen her stories today, Eminem. Combat Oz, what stopped you from going pro? All right, good question, Combat. Didn't have the fire anymore, Combat. That's as simple as that. I've always had a little bit of the OCD and that sort of stuff, I suppose. And I just had it in my head that when I was 10 years old and started fighting, that I wanted to do a few different things. I wanted to obviously fight, but I wanted to represent Australia at the Olympics, the Commonwealth Games, the World Championships. Just wanted to represent Australia, mainly at the Olympic Games and Commonwealth Games. And for some reason, I had in my head that I wanted to be retired when I was 25. I don't know why, because I thought that was an old man at the time, being 25. And when I got to 25 and I'd been to the Olympics and Commonwealth Games and World Champs, all that sort of stuff, it was almost like the flick just switched off. And again, being lucky enough to have things going on outside of, as far as getting married and going to business, it was like boxing just overnight. As soon as the Commonwealth Games was over, as disappointing as it was for me, and I've told the story a couple of times, it was like overnight, I flicked a switch and I didn't even think about boxing for about 5 years. I just dove head first in the business. I have a glancing view at what was going on with boxing, but I didn't have any interest in it whatsoever. And then here I am back so many years later with a YouTube show, but a podcast. But what stopped me from going pro, it was probably that, but more so, mate, I think I've said on here before, I had a chat with Jeff Fennick at the Commonwealth Games. He was recruiting a few guys off certain teams and that there. I think Danny Green was recruited from there, and I think a couple of other African fighters, I think, from memory. He did sort of mention to me about having a chat about it, but I'll be honest with you, mate, once it was all done with the Commonwealth Games and everything, I just didn't have the fire anymore. And professional boxing, you're either all in or you're all out, and I couldn't commit 100%, so I stepped away. Might have been a bit different if I didn't have a wedding and a business to go into. Who knows? But yeah, I just didn't have the desire to do it anymore, mate. And it was hard to watch a lot of the guys I used to go away with and fight against and with and everything else, winning world titles or fighting for world titles. But it is what it is, and I don't regret it at all, mate, because I've been very lucky in business and life, and Who knows what could have happened if I hadn't have done that and just turned pro. So no guarantees in boxing, mate, I can tell you. So what's that there, Ryan? Keep up the great. Yeah, thanks, mate. Let's go to the Blues. No drama. Let's hope for next year. Ryan, what are we doing in the trade period, mate? We seem to be getting rid of all our players, not bringing much in. So let's keep the fingers crossed we can do something next year. What do you think of the Hall of Fame class with Triple G, Collins and Forrest? Didn't want to be that guy to tear down such and similar Hall of Fame, but the class is a big weight. Yeah, look, I think Triple G for sure, Bobby, would have to be in there. Yeah, Vernon Forrest is an interesting one. I spoke again about this with D-Style this morning. Steve Collins, yes. I'm not saying that Collins or Forrest shouldn't be in there, but it probably goes to show that this class is maybe there wasn't too much to bring into the Hall of Fame. I did say this morning, I reckon it should be every 10 years. I think after 10 years it should be eligible, not 3 years as it is now. At least maybe even 7 years or something like that. This whole 3 years thing, I just think it's too soon. But maybe they're just scraping the bottom of the barrel, Bobby. And D-Style made a really good point as well. He said, well, they're inducting 2 women every year at the moment. I mean, the pool is so shallow with the women's, and we're inducting 2 females every year. It's going to run out very quickly. Although we do have a really good crop coming through to choose from in the next few years with Clarissa Shields and Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano. What's her name? Michaela, whatever her name is. There's a lot of good fighters out there anyway. So female. So I'm sure that will deepen as the years go on. But I'm with you, mate. It's a little bit weak, but not to disrespect those 3 guys, especially Triple G. I just don't want the Hall of Fame to be watered down. It should be hard to get in. Yeah, well, I must admit there's a few fighters that get in that maybe shouldn't. And that's why I reckon it should be, as I said, at least 7 to 10 years. But also maybe, maybe don't induct people for the sake of inducting them. If there's only one person to induct, we'll induct one person. It's always a great weekend. All the past greats get there. It's a fantastic weekend. But I just don't think, as I said, we should be inducting people or fighters just for the sake of it, because we need to induct 3 or 4. Oh, good one, 94 years old. McCallum Hagler. Yeah, would have been good. I would have liked to see McCallum and Hearns. I reckon that would have been a really good fight too. Drew, Andy Ruiz and Buster Douglas more similar than people think, given their lack of discipline outside the ring and careers that faded after signature wins. Yeah, again, spoke about this morning. Similar, but not the same necessarily, Drew, because I think Andy Ruiz was quite talented. Maybe he was good enough to challenge for the world title. I know he fought out of his skin against Joshua, but pretty much pissed it all away after that. But Buster Douglas, I think, while he had talent, wasn't the most talented guy in the world, and he just had a night of all nights against Tyson. And the only similar thing between them, both of them, is, like you say, their lack of discipline. And both of them had big fights on the horizon. With Ruiz, there was always there was Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, possibly Alexander Usyk coming through. Buster Douglas had Lennox Lewis and Riddick Bowe, and he'd already fought Tyson and Holyfield, but lots of other fights he could have had, and both have just blown it, Drew. So yeah, it's a shame, but yes, maybe similar in certain ways for sure. Richard, I know you fought Pierre Karam, who was well known around my area. Yeah, I did fight Pierre in 1996, Richard, at his gym, at the Brizzy Brothers gym. Yep. It was it was January of 96. It was the first fight of the Olympic trials. You go through your states first and then national, and obviously after international. And him and I were the Victorians, and we fought on a Sunday morning at the Brizzy Brothers gym, Richard. It was like a cockfight. Now, if you've seen the Brizzy Brothers gym, it's not elevated at all. It's just a canvas on the ground. So we're at ground level, and everyone just surrounded the ring. It was pretty bizarre to see the fight. I think it's on YouTube. My wife put it on there a few years ago. I get along really well with Pierre these days. I hope he's doing well. He obviously went on and did some good things after we fought, but yes, we did. We've done a lot of round sparring in the lead up to that too, Richard, in the past, and then we just ran into each other for the Olympic trials. But he ended up going over to America and training in the Kronk gym, so he did all right there, mate. But yep, I did fight him for the Olympic trials in 96. Almost feels like the Hall of Fame inductees are getting done on a quota system rather than their merits, I'll say. Yeah, no, I'm with you there, Drew. Not every year. I mean, earlier this year too. I mean, we had Vinny Pazienza and Manny Pacquiao. I mean, Manny Pacquiao's just a walk-up start, and I think Vinny Paz, he did cop a bit of flack like Arturo Gatti did for maybe not deserving to be in there. But I think what they brought to the sport in different ways was amazing. I mean, Vinny Pazienza, a true character of the sport, fought everyone and his dog basically back in the day. Probably the only one he never fought, I think from memory, and I'm glad he didn't, was Julio Cesar Chavez, because I think Chavez would have made mincemeat of Vinny Paz, and Vinny Paz wouldn't have gone down without a fight. He would have been too brave for his own good. But I just think for what Vinny Paz brought to the sport of boxing, a little bit like, I suppose, Sylvester Stallone did with the Rocky movies. He's in the Hall of Fame. So does the Hall of Fame just have to be just for your achievements, or is it what it's actually done for the sport of boxing? Does it have to be different categories? Maybe there's one for boxing, and then there's one just, again, as I said, for what you brought to the game. Maybe fighters like Arturo Gatti and Vinny Pazienza wouldn't probably see that very well, because it'd be almost diminishing what they've done. But yeah, I don't know, mate. I'm not sure what the exact quota system is, but it just seems like next year is going to be just a weak class. But I'm sure that happens. I'm sure it happens every couple of years or 3 years or 4 years or whatever it might be. We get a class that's maybe not as esteemed as others, but it is what it is. It's no different to a football or cricket or any one of those Hall of Fames either. All right, Daniel says, all three worthy inductees in my view. Collins beat both Ben and Eubank and only lost once. Forrest schooled Mosley when Mosley beat Oscar to be number one pound for pound at the time. Triple G record speaks for itself. Yeah, no, good arguments there, Daniel, for sure. Yep. I think the only way to get around it is to simply not have to induct three people every year, because then we're going to have these arguments. I think if it was just Triple G by himself, there'd be no arguments. Earlier in the year, it was just Manny Pacquiao. No one would have any arguments. So thanks, OG. Have a good one too, mate. See you next week. Forrest also held multiple world titles in 2 weight classes. Yeah, another good call, Daniel, for sure. It's always good having someone on here who knows the boxing history, mate, because you can add some great input. All right, guys, any other comments? I know we're about 8 or 9 minutes early, but if anyone's got anything else, or if not, we will call it a night. Just a quick one. Again, the walking boxing every day. I'm just trying to find the time to do another show once a week. Again, whether it be fight week or this is a special Dream Fights edition we're doing. Again, whether it's the panel format, we'll see. But I don't think you can get enough boxing content no matter what channel it's on. So, guys, we're actually going to call it a night. Having said that, there's not we've got any other comments coming through. Really appreciate everyone tuning in tonight and listening on Spotify after the fact. It means a lot. Make sure you share, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. And yeah, it means a lot. It helps. Apparently, it helps the algorithm. Spit that out. The algorithms and all that sort of stuff. I don't know how it works, but I've been told that to do it. So if you can, that would be appreciated too. So, guys, look forward to seeing you next week on Talking Boxing. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Monday night.